Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you're having a great day today. We've got a lot to read today, and it's going to be such a fun episode. We have Am I the A-hole today? We, as in Nez and I. We do have Am I the A-hole, but also some entitled people posts. It's been a long time since we've read anything from the entitled people subreddit, so I felt like I'd sprinkle some into this episode. And with that being said, story number 1. Am I the A-hole for not getting rid of my cat? I, 41 female, have been dating a guy, 46 male, for several years. Last year we took a break for about 6 months. In that time I did not date anybody else, in brackets he did, but was working with somebody who showed unreciprocated interest in me. This co-worker was moving to another state and asked if I wanted to adopt his cat for my kids, and I jumped at the chance. We'd always wanted a cat and it just seemed like a great opportunity. I lost contact with this co-worker pretty fast after he moved. My relationship with my boyfriend is really great, but recently he told me that he hates the cat because it came from a guy who was using it to try to sleep with me. No, Nez! Nez couldn't believe this. Hopefully the goose comes back. He said that he didn't want to even feed the cat when I'm gone, as it reminds him of this other guy. It's just a cat, and I literally never think of the co-worker who gave him to me. I told him I'd never get rid of the cat to make him feel comfortable, not just because of the cat, but because I won't be in a relationship where I have to prove my love by unnecessary sacrifice or pain. He said I'm choosing a cat over him. Am I the a-hole for thinking this whole thing is stupid and weirdly childish? Update, I didn't know Reddit was the friend group I needed yet, but here we are. Yeah, he's gone. It didn't go well, but everything was right. He was genuinely kind and normal for the most part. I think he's just good at masking. But in hindsight, there were some red flags of slowly escalating controlling behavior. This all kind of yanked the wool off my eyes. He's incredulous that I'd break up over a cat, and then tried to gaslight me by saying, I cannot believe you actually think I wouldn't feed your cat. I was maybe being a little hyperbolic. I had a few drinks the other night. Do you think I'm a monster? And so on. Then it turned into how controlling it was, and he laughed at me like I'm being dramatic, like mean laughter. I've never heard him do that before. It went around and around. He was very intentionally pretending to not understand, and he was changing the subject a lot. I told him I'm done. I'll pack up whatever that you have at my house and I'll drop it at your work. I guess I'm feeling relieved that I found out before I let him further into my life. It still sucks. I'm good at being single, so life moves on. And also, he's a completely inside cat, and we've changed the code on my door locks. We're safe. Yeah, very much a not the a-hole consensus. The top comment says he said I'm choosing a cat over him. You sure are, and it's the right call. Keep the cat, dump the man, not the a-hole. And the response says you're not choosing the cat over him, you're choosing not to be controlled by somebody's insecurity. This comment says, so you adopted the cat during a time period when he was other people, and he feels threatened by the cat. Yeah, not the a-hole, keep the cat and tell the guy to sod off. It said last year we took a break for about 6 months. In that time, I did not date anybody else, and he did. Yeah, so you had no interest in this co-worker that gave you the cat. You just wanted the cat, but the ex-boyfriend wasn't okay with you keeping the cat because it came from the co-worker guy. That is redonkulous. It said this co-worker was moving to another state and asked if I wanted to adopt his cat for my kids, and I jumped at the chance. And it said he was showing unreciprocated interest in me, and then OP said that they never think about the co-worker who gave them the cat. And also that bit where he said that he wouldn't feed the cat. He said that he didn't even want to feed the cat when I'm gone, as it reminds him of this other guy. This comment says he doesn't want to feed the cat because it reminds him of somebody who wanted to sleep with you. How about your kids? Because I'm pretty sure someone did sleep with you. Not the a-hole. This comment says not the a-hole. He's trying to see if he can get you to compromise yourself and your kids for him. In brackets, it'll only continue to get worse if you capitulate. Capitulate. I have never heard that word in my 26 years of existence. There you go. Keep the kitty, dump the man-sized child. Yeah, you made the right choice, OP. Oh my god, I was gonna see if Nez wanted to get back in the basket, and I look over to the bed, and she's sleeping on top of Jin. Isn't that so cute? Okay, the next one is on entitled people. Co-worker told HR that I was being exclusive. for not inviting her to my wedding. This was honestly one of the weirdest work things that I've ever dealt with. There's a woman in my office that I'm friendly with, but I'm not close to. We've had small talk here and there, nothing deep. No lunches together, no real outside of work connection. She found out that I was getting married and asked me when the wedding was. Then she straight up asked if she was invited. I kinda laughed and said, "Oh no, it's really small, just close friends and family. I didn't think anything of it." She got quiet and a little bit cold after that, but I figured okay, maybe an awkward moment, whatever. Fast forward to a few days after, I get a meeting invite from HR. Turns out that she filed a complaint saying that I was being exclusive and creating a hostile environment by leaving people out because I didn't invite her to my wedding that I'm paying for, that isn't work related. Yeah, how ridiculous. So I had to sit in this HR meeting and explain that I'm not required to invite co-workers that I barely know to my literal wedding, that it's a personal event, that it has nothing to do with work or who's in the office. HR looked just as confused as I was. They basically said, "Yep, okay, thanks," and then closed the case. And now she acts super passive aggressive toward me, like side eyes and little digs when I walk by, still bringing it up in these weird sarcastic comments. Like, some people are so inclusive these days. I can't believe that she thought that HR could, make me invite her? Yeah, what? Some people really do think they're the main character. Yeah, that's so bizarre. Yeah, like this comment says, "That's one of the strangest things I've read. Your co-worker's odd. Who thinks like that? What's next? Does she expect you to have her along on the honeymoon?" Yeah, that's so confusing. And the going to HR about it is so funny. Yeah, like what were they gonna do? And also, you're not creating a hostile work environment. She is. Yeah, like the top comment says, "I would report her to HR for creating an uncomfortable environment." Yeah, for sure. You're not the one creating an uncomfortable environment. Yeah, that's so entitled. Like, why does she feel like she has to be invited? Like, why does she feel like she's entitled to be invited? And like, OP has to invite her. What, you're not gonna invite me to your wedding? Even though we're not close at all? I'm gonna go complain to HR about it. The coworker wasn't like, "Oh yeah, I completely understand. Like, of course you don't have to invite me to your wedding, I understand." No, they were like, "What, you're not inviting me? You have to invite me." Guess who it is? The goose. The goose is back. This one is back on Am I the A-hole? Am I the A-hole for keeping groceries in my cupboard and lying about it to my roommates? I, 23 female, live with my boyfriend, 22 male, my best friend, 21 female, and her boyfriend, 24 male. Okay, so they all live together. I've been working at a new job for about 7 months. I get a regular salary for starting at the bottom, so I can basically just afford simple monthly expenses like rent, utilities, and groceries. My boyfriend is studying his degree and helps with bills from money that he earns from a part-time job and money that his parents give him for an allowance. My best friend helps out with the bills from an allowance that she gets from her parents, as she is also still studying her degree. The three of us decided to rent an apartment together, as it was a more affordable option. We discussed that we would split the bills between us equally, and this arrangement was working well until my best friend's boyfriend moved in. He repeatedly stated that he would also help out with the bills, but until he found a job, he could only help out with the groceries. We all agreed this was okay, but we also said that he couldn't stay here forever without bringing his side. I started to notice over time that the groceries I was buying were disappearing, but at a faster rate than what they should be. I asked my boyfriend, but he said that he genuinely didn't take any extra groceries. My boyfriend and I are really trying to save money for the future, and so we budget everything down to groceries. I don't mean that we go hungry to save money. I mean that we don't eat 900-gram T-bone steaks every night. Then I noticed that my best friend's boyfriend was treating himself to his meals when in the kitchen with my groceries. I let it go on for a while until I no longer had food to eat myself, and I had no money to buy more. I called a house meeting in which I stated that I was not happy with this whole issue, to which they, my best friend and her boyfriend, stated that they would buy their own food from then on, and we would no longer share. After that, food didn't disappear as much, but it was still finishing faster than it should. I then started keeping my groceries in my cupboard in my bedroom. I hate confrontation, and so when I needed something from my cupboard, I'd make sure they weren't there to see. But I have bumped into my best friend's boyfriend while carrying some groceries out of my room. They then started to ask if I had extra groceries that they could have, like bread, to which I would say no, which was lying. I did have bread, but for work sandwiches. It's been about a month and my best friend and her boyfriend both feel cold towards me still, and I often catch them whispering and stopping when my boyfriend or I enter. I'm not sure if this was maybe the wrong solution for the problem, but I don't see how I now have to be treated like a villain because my groceries are in my cupboard. Am I the a-hole? So they're upset because they don't get to eat your food anymore? No, you're not the a-hole. This comment says not the a-hole. When people are such moochers that you have to hide your groceries, that's a them problem, not a you problem. I'd look at moving out as soon as you can. That kind of behavior won't stop on its own. The top comment says not the a-hole. Just say, sorry, I thought we agreed that we would each buy our own groceries. Therefore, I only buy enough to feed myself. You should probably stop tiptoeing around as if you have something to feel guilty about. You don't. And this incident suggests that you simply aren't going to be able to avoid a confrontation. So center yourself and prepare and stand your ground. And move out as soon as it's financially feasible. And the response says, oh, and put a lock on your cupboard. The comment below that says not the a-hole. It sucks that your friend's boyfriend doesn't have a job, but that's their problem. You aren't the food bank. They need to find a solution to their problem. And they shouldn't be stealing your food. Yeah. The next one says, am I the a-hole if I refuse to return a piece of furniture a family member gave me? I received a piece of old furniture from a great aunt. It's a dark oak armoire. She said it belonged to her brother. She didn't need it. I asked if she minded if I painted it. I know, controversial to paint antique furniture so that it matched my living room. She said do whatever I wanted. So I sanded, I replaced the hardware, and I painted it. I even painted little flowers and butterflies all over it. I put close to $200 of work in it. I showed her the final product and she said it was super cute. She loved it. Then a few days later called me and said younger cousin absolutely loves it. Can we give it to her and I'll get you a gift card to buy a new one? I said no. I put weeks of work into it. I put money into it. She says I'm being selfish since it was technically an heirloom. But she gave me permission to do all the work to it. I did offer to consider painting a piece of furniture for the cousin, but she wants this armoire. It's causing tension in the family now. Am I the a-hole? The top comment says, what? No? It being an heirloom's irrelevant. It was gifted to you. That's the end of the matter. I'm not sure who's nervier, cousin for deciding that she wanted it after you'd transformed it, or aunt for failing to understand that she relinquished control over it when she gave it to you. Not the a-hole. This comment says not the a-hole. $200 and many hours of your time and your creative skills went into this. This is not the equivalent to a $100 one from a big box furniture store. This is somebody saying, I like your possession, give it to me. If you say no, you're selfish. Yeah, how ridiculous. Yeah, not the a-hole OP. Okay, the next one is back on entitled people. My brother wants to live in my house rent free. He, male 36, was kicked out of my female 34 parents' house for trashing it and generally being very disrespectful. My aunt let him move into their tiny home for about 2 months that they had in their backyard, and he trashed that as well. They went to check on something in there and saw that he'd destroyed the carpets, stained the walls, broken the countertops, and some door hinges. I honestly don't know how he did so much damage on his own. He never had any visitors. He's kind of a loner. Well, they kicked him out as well, and they had to spend thousands of dollars to get everything fixed. Now he wants to live at my place since my husband and I have a guest bedroom. He doesn't have a job and refuses to get one. The kicker is how entitled he feels to my lifestyle. He said that I had to let him live rent-free. My husband and I had to pay for all of his groceries, pay for any time he wants to order delivery. I have to drive him wherever he wants since he doesn't have a car. I have to pay for his cell phone bill. We need to take him on any vacations that we oh my god, we need to take him on any vacations that we go on. And last but not least, pay for his monthly WoW subscription. Then he graciously offered to write up the contract himself. I practically laughed at him and told him absolutely not. He can get a job and find his own living arrangements and pay for his own He said that I was being selfish and that as his rich sister, in brackets I'm not rich, I owe it to him. Now he's telling our whole family about how I abandoned him and how I'm the worst sister ever. He even tried calling my best friend to try to make them turn on me. Not a single family or friend believes his bullshit. and they support my decision. That is so unbelievably ridiculous and so unbelievably entitled. The top comment says, excellent. Anyone who says you should support him is welcome to have him move into their home. How did he get so old without learning that you have to support yourself? And OP said, I think my mum coddled him like no other and never made him deal with consequences. He had gotten used to being treated like a toddler who can throw tantrums and get his way every time. Like this comment says too. Finally, a story where the family are actually supporting the right person. Yeah, 100%. It's good to see. A lot of the time it's the complete opposite. The next one, am I the a-hole for taking back the dress that my sister stole from me? My older sister has bought a lot of things for me in the past and has given me some of her clothes as well. I've used her stuff too, but I asked before using it, or I always put it back. She lost her job, her car, and has financial issues now because her husband is an addict. In May, I bought myself a dress for my grandmother's funeral and I only wore it once. I left the dress in my mum's closet, and a few weeks ago my mum calls me saying that my sister took, although in my opinion I call it stealing, the dress, and asked my mum not to tell me because she wants it for herself. I was so pissed and I went off on my mum. It's not the first time my sister's taken stuff of mine without asking, and the fact that my mum even allowed it, it riled me up further. I went to go get the dress back and I saw that the belt on the dress was missing. I asked her about it and she claims that the belt wasn't there to begin with, but I know for a fact that I left the belt on it. I came home, I threw the dress on the bed and I told my mum, now the belt's missing because you give away my clothes behind my back. Thanks a lot, mum. And then I left. My mum says that my sister feels touched by how I reacted because she's done and given so much for me in the past, and this is how I repay her. My mum also said that I should be more sympathetic towards my sister because she isn't in a position to buy herself new clothes due to her financial situation. None of that means they get to take your stuff without asking. Like this comment says, not the a-hole. Her generosity in the past does not entitle her to take your things now without asking. Yeah, had she asked, you might very well have given her the dress, but who knows? Be clear with your mum that the issue here is her stealing the dress. Had she asked, that would have been one thing. The top comment says, not the a-hole. Your sister went so far as to tell your mum not to tell you because she wanted it for herself. That's stealing. I'm sure had she just asked you to borrow it, you probably would have let her. You had every right to go and take your property that somebody took from you. It doesn't matter if you were never going to wear it again or not. It's your property. Okay, the next one, entitled people. Stranger at the cafe asked me to move tables because she liked my seat better. Wow, that's so bad. Hey, can I sit there? I like your seat more. That's hilarious. I was at this little cafe earlier enjoying some quiet time by the window. I had my drink, my book, and honestly, I was feeling pretty relaxed. Then this woman walks up to me and says, super casually, would you mind moving? I like this seat. I thought she was kidding. I laughed a little and I waited for the punchline. But no, she meant it. I told her I just sat down and I was planning to stay for a while, and she looked at me like I'd insulted her or something. No, oh no worries or anything. Just a glare and a dramatic sigh as she walked off. I don't know, maybe I'm being sensitive, but it just felt weird. Like, since when do people feel that entitled to ask total strangers to give up their seat just because they like the view? Yeah, that's unbelievable. The only reason was because they liked it, and they glared at OP and then gave a dramatic sigh and then walked off. Like what? Everything's not about me? And then on top of it, like OP said, they weren't like, oh, no worries. They glared at OP and gave a dramatic sigh. That's so insufferable. How does life work for people like this? Like, do they do that to everybody? Do they treat everybody like this? Do they feel like everything's about them? This comment says, ignore her, she bumped her head. OP said, haha, yeah, had to be something like that. Yeah, the audacity. This comment says, I feel like the best reply to somebody like her is, it's wild that you feel comfortable asking something so rude. Then ignore her. The temerity. Temerity. I don't think I've heard that word either. I've learnt 2 new words in this episode. Temerity. Excessive confidence or boldness. Audacity. It's a synonym of audacity. The temerity. That's amazing. The next one says, am I I the a-hole for not wanting to share my gene? He's off on another adventure. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my medical reports with my boyfriend's family? No, you're not. So I, 32 female, had a health scare recently and I ended up in the hospital for a few days. They did multiple tests and while the reports were not conclusive, they did find some minor issues in my ovaries and a blood infection. After being released, I decided to get a second opinion from another trusted doctor. Now, my boyfriend 34 sent me a message that his father sent him, not me, to ask me to share my medical report so that they can show it to his uncle, who's a doctor. I'm not comfortable with this. I grew up in a family of doctors where if anything would go wrong, my relatives would always know and it always gave me this sense of invasion of privacy. I told my boyfriend that I'm not comfortable sharing my medical reports with his family, especially when I don't know his uncle that well. That should have been the end of it. I would prefer to show my own doctor. He called me immature and how I don't have an understanding of things. I told him to f off. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my reports with his family, even though his uncle's a doctor? No. Update. First of all, thank you everybody for such a warm reassurance. I felt like an a-hole thinking that I'm being my usual stubborn self. I'm not from the US, so I don't think anybody else can access my medical records. I'm not going to share my records anyway, no matter who says what. About breaking up, as many of you have suggested, he has been my BFF, more time than he has been my boyfriend, and he can be a brat, but sometimes he does things more from a lack of maturity and sensitivity, rather than out of spite or meanness, and I believe these are things that can be worked upon together, instead of throwing away the entire relationship. Anyway, he has not responded or called me since I told him to f off, so there's that. I have and I will have boundaries, and well, if he has issues with that, he can truly f off. Yeah, this comment, not the a-hole. I'm not comfortable with that. Should have been the end of it. Your boyfriend needs to respect your boundaries. Yeah, 100%. And that's all there is to it. Like, I don't feel like there's a lot to say about this one. When OP said that they weren't comfortable about it, that should have been the end of it. The top comment says, not the a-hole. If you choose to get a second opinion from your boyfriend's uncle, you can set that up on your own. Your boyfriend's an a-hole for not respecting your right to say no. Yeah. And on that note, let's read something wholesome. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Hopes and dreams. Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's also true. A lot of the time, stuff like that is closer than you realize, or closer than they appear, as the mirror says. A lot of things do seem sort of impossible, but they're surprisingly not. Wow, that's so beautiful and so motivational, and a good place to end the episode. Thank you for watching today's episode, everybody. That was such a fun episode. I enjoyed reading the entitled people stories in between the Am I the A-hole? Having them sort of sprinkled into the Am I the A-hole was nice. And the comment of the day goes to BonkDonk297. Babe, wake up! Vincey's purple! Yeah, and I'm blue today. How cool is that? It's so cool and I love it so much. It's this beautiful little light and it plugs into the wall and I can make it any color that I want. That's so funny though, like every single episode has been the same and then randomly I'm purple. Thank you for that comment and thank you for watching the videos. I'll see you in the next episode, everybody. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single time. Bye!